CTWhatsNew is an updated version of my CTWhatsNew package that is now available for SwiftUI. CTWhatsNew is available from Swift Package Manager using Xcode 11 or later. With CTWhatsNew, you can present your users a screen of all changes to your app, and you can specify that the screen will only get presented on launch if the user has just installed a new version or build. Once viewed, it stays dormant until the next version or build is pushed out. You can also associate the presentation of the view on demand if that's an option that you would like to enable for your users. CTWhatsNew is dark mode ready. If you're interested in finding out how to install and implement CTWhatsNew, keep watching as I'll go through the process now. Let's begin by looking at the starter project. The project contains the content view SwiftUI view, and inside that is a VStack, which is inside a navigation view that shows some content. The content is irrelevant for the purposes of CTWhatsNew, but it is embedded in a navigation view, and there is a navigation bar button item here where we will be toggling a boolean that will present a What's New sheet on demand. The first thing you need to do is install the CTWhatsNew package. Choose Swift Packages, add package dependency from the file menu, and type in https://stuartlynch/ctwhatsnew_SwiftUI in the package repository URL field, then tap Next. Tap Next again, and then Finish. That's all there is to installing a Swift package. You can explore the contents of the package by expanding the CTWhatsNew folder in the Swift Package Dependencies section. To use CTWhatsNew, you have to import the library into the view where you want to present the screen. As we want to display what's new on first launch of a new build or version, it makes sense to place this in our initial view, the Content view. So open Content view and import CTWhatsNew. Before you can display a screen, you need to create an instance of CTWhatsNew and a series of entries for each new build. As you may wish to display this content on demand from a number of different views, I suggest that you create a struct with a static function that will create the content and return an instance of CTWhatsNew whenever you need it. To do this, create a Swift file and name it build_CTWhatsNew. Replace the import foundation with import CTWhatsNew. Create a new struct called build_CTWhatsNew, and within that struct create a static function named getWhatsNew that takes no parameters but returns an instance of CTWhatsNew. Start by creating an instance of CTWhatsNew, and this takes two parameters, a title and an intro. This information is used at the top of our What's New screen. So for our demo here, we'll just enter the information as I type it in, what's new and different, and changes to the application over time. To remove the error, we can return our instance of CTWhatsNew. Now that you have your What's New instance, you can create your items. You create a CTWhatsNew item for every update that you wish to display. You can do this with the new item function of your What's New instance and combine it with the static CTWhatsNew item function. You could, of course, create a number of CTWhatsNew items individually and then use the What's New function to add them all to your instance later, but in this example, I'm showing you the combination of both. Please note the order to which you add the CTWhatsNew items will be reversed on display, so you can add your most recent changes at the end and they will be displayed first. In our example here, I'm going to show you what a CTWhatsNew instance might look like, which has three different builds, the initial release and two subsequent releases. The first one is for the initial release. The second was a bug fix. And the third was an enhancement. Now that the items have been created, we can return to our content view. Let's start by getting our items. And we do this by creating a new instance of CTWhatsNew that will be equal to what our builder has generated. So let's CTWhatsNew equal build CTWhatsNew.getWhatsNew. We also need a state variable that will initially be set to false, but change to true and cause the presentation of a sheet if it's set to true. At state private var show CTWhatsNew equals false. Now we can create our sheet, and we attach this sheet modifier to our vStack. It will be presented whenever our show CTWhatsNew variable is true. When it is, we present the CTWhatsNew view and pass in our instance of CTWhatsNew. Our modal sheet can be presented in two different ways: when the build or version has changed, or on demand. To present the sheet only when our build or version has changed, we make the check and toggle if required the show CTWhatsNew variable when our view appears. So, after our sheet modifier, we can type .onAppear, and within that closure, we call our CTWhatsNew instance function should show what's new. This checks to see if a new build or version has occurred since the user last launched the application and returns a Boolean true or false. We can then assign this to our state variable within the onAppear closure. The other way to present the What's New screen is when the button is tapped. This time, all we need to do is set the self.showCTWhatsNew equal to true within our action. When we run our application, you see the What's New screen appears on first launch. I see a typo, but I'll fix that later. If we run the app again, the screen doesn't appear. When this function is called, it checks the version and build number of your app and compares it to a string stored in the user defaults. If it's not found or doesn't match the currently running app, the What's New screen will be displayed. When the screen is dismissed, the current version and build number of your app is stored, and this will prevent the display of the What's New screen in future launches. However, we do have our navigation bar button item that will display the screen on demand. If we go back and change either the version or build number and run again, you'll see the screen presents itself on first launch. And the final thing that you can do is provide optional colors to change the color of the navigation bar, the title, and the Done button, or the Close button. Back in the build CTWhatsNew, let's first correct that typo in our static function. And now we can add the three optional color parameters before we return our instance. We want a red background of the nav bar, a yellow title text color, and a white close button. Let's run one last time. Notice the What's New screen doesn't appear on launch. That's because we didn't change the version or build number. However, if we tap on the navbar button, we see our navigation bar colors have been updated. That's all there is to adding a What's New screen to your app. CTWhatsNew is open source, so please email me or contact me with any suggestions for improvements or bugs.